Hello good people, welcome to Keep Left, your all car guide to all things cars and all things automotive. As always, my name is Kev, the host who knows most about cars. Subarus are quite an enigma. Most people love them because of the heydays on the rally stages with Colin McRae, and most people also love them because of the deep pulsating rumble sounds that the Boxster engine provides. Some other people will hate Subarus because of the immature fandom that is associated with the brand and some of its models. Well, today's model is one of the best models that Subaru have come with it. It is for the more mature and speed-loving Subaru enthusiasts. This is the 2011 Subaru Legacy, the fifth generation of the Legacy brand, with the previous generations being denoted by the chassis codes of BP5 and BL5. This particular model happens to be the station wagon model, and the chassis code for this is BR9, and the sedan model is denoted by a chassis code of BM9. Now, on to this particular model. Subaru have entered a particularly very dangerous market in terms of what they do in the past and what they've done with the Legacy. When you think about a Subaru, you think about the fast boys, and that is what basically Subaru wanted to go for when they were doing their cars. Their cars are known for rally and speed, but in this particular model, Subaru have gone into a market where they are looking for the clients who are more inclined to luxury and performance. This particular category of cars is usually donned by cars like Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Audis, and Volkswagens. And this particular episode is going to look at if Subaru has been able to capture the market well, and if they can continue to sit in this market. So far, in terms of looks, I can say Subaru have got it spot on. This car looks sporty, and yet something that a CEO can sit in and not have any questions about his personality. This car looks good from top to bottom. Two things that I love about Subaru in terms of looks. One of them is here, the twin pipes. By any time I come across a Subaru and I'm behind it and I see the twin pipes, it's usually just a request for racing. I don't know if it is just me, but I think it's a request for racing. The second thing is, if you follow me, the hood scoop. Oh my, if you just look at a Subaru in your rear view mirror and you see the hood scoop, I think that's another thing that just tells you, race me. But maybe it's just me. This hood scoop screams of air intake, and the more air that goes in, the more power that you get from these cars. And the story is even better when you open the boot or the bonnet of this car. So, oh my, look at the size of that engine. I know in the recent past, Subarus get a lot of stick in terms of the design of their engines, and I don't see it. For me, I think the design of these engines is usually very beautiful. What we have under the bonnet of this Subaru is a 2.5-liter turbocharged Boxster engine. It doesn't get better than that. The power rating of this particular engine is 281 horsepower. Let's pause for a minute. That figure is not small. Not 280, 281. This generation of Subaru, the fifth generation, has other variants of engines. It has a 2-liter engine. It has a 2.5 naturally aspirated engine, which are usually very common. It also has a 3.6-liter naturally aspirated engine. But this particular engine, the EJ255, is the one that we have for today, and is what we are going to be looking at for this particular car. The EJ255 in this particular model is fused to a 6-speed automatic lineartronic CVT transmission, and the CVT in this particular model is a very bright one. It is a chain pulley driven, which helps into making the gearbox in this car very durable, and it produces less sounds. If you're keen about CVTs, you know the sound that they produce. They're usually like a whine. This particular model doesn't have that, and it is very durable. Now, enough about the engine and the gearbox about this car. We need to take this baby for a drive. But before we do that, let's check how good the interior is. Again, standard, this car on the steering wheel comes with steering controls. Obviously, this is to help because this car is big, and if you think about it, just with my height, getting to the center console is not very easy without you having to arc forward. So it comes with steering controls for volume, mode, cruise control setting, and other functions. This is very nice. Aside from that, it has paddle shifters. For the people who really want to go really fast and want to control the gearbox on their own, the car has paddle shifters for decreasing and increasing speed. Equally, the size of the steering is a very nice size. It is not so big, especially considering the size of this car. And where I'm seated, I can tell that the car is well spaced in terms of its size and seated. This position is very comfortable. I like where the armrest is just in a position where you actually feel really comfortable. In fact, it reminds me of the review of the Mark X that I did. And if you haven't watched that video, you can just head on to the description of this video and you'll see the video of the Mark X that I did. Also, there is a link that will be coming up in this video. You can watch that. So back to the Subaru Legacy. The car is also filled with a lot of space in terms of putting things where you need to do. There is a cup holder in this position. There's an extra space here where you can put change or maybe your phone. There's also another space inside here. Let me just open that. You can put some other things there. And yeah, overall this car is well spaced. The space on top is equally good. For any size of person. Yeah, it's a good place to be, and it's a car that I approve in terms of size. It's very well sized. From the outside, this car looks humongous, but when you're inside here, you feel well confined and in a very good position in terms of driving. Now let's check the back. And when you come at the back, the story is the same and very usual. This car is big. And it's very nice because this is a car that you can enjoy as an individual and with your family. Why do I say that? When you talk about luxury, you can't just deal with the people in front and forget the people at the back. This car comes standard with AC ventilation for the rear sitting people. And something else that I like about this car, the transmission tunnel is not so high that anyone seated here is put in an awkward position. It's not very high. It's in a good position. All this comes because this car happens to be all-wheel drive. So this is necessary, something that needs to be the car, because you have to make space for the exhaust and the drive axle for this car. The seats at the back are also leather, and they have adjustability. They have a lever here. You can pull, and the seats lean back. This is very nice. Nice and clean. I like it so much. I'm sure at this point you're wondering, is Subaru focusing so much in terms of luxury and the upmarket kind of clientele, and they're going to forget their purpose of functionality? Now, this boot is very big, and in fact, you can carry any size of thing in terms of your daily runnings. This car comes standard with this divider, which you can easily pull off, and you can have it back. But this boot, if you can see, let me just go in so that you can see the size. You can sit here comfortably. In fact, we can sit here more than 2 people, if I'm not wrong. And I'm sure you think I'm kidding. This car has a secret weapon when it comes to boot space. So just come closer, I show you. it has some levers on this side. So I want you to focus on the seats when I pull this lever. When you pull this lever here, the seats drop, and it's the same on the other side, sorry. When you pull the lever, the seat drops. And guess what? Look at the boot space in this car now. Astronomical is the right term for this. So in terms of practicality, Subaru has you sorted. It's a clean, well-spaced car, and I like it so much. So you can't talk about luxury if you don't talk about certain features that have to be in a car. For example, this car comes standard with seat position memory for two people driving, so you can have memory for the first and the second one. This car also comes with electronic handbrake. This actually helps a lot because it saves a lot of space when it comes to the center console where the handbrake would have been. So having the e-brake helps a lot. The other thing that you can notice in the car is the seat is electronically, it has electronic functions, and two settings. One, you can push your seat forwards, backwards. You can adjust the back, where your back lies, to a setting that you have. And all this is helped by the fact that these seats, other than being leather, they are perforated. If you notice, there's perforation, which goes into helping the fact that these seats on the driver and the co-driver side are heated and cooled seats. Oh my. Luxury best defined by Subaru. In terms of drivability, the Subaru Legacy BR9 happens to be very well planted. And that can be rather obvious considering this car comes straight from the manufacturer with all-wheel drive, something that Subaru seems to be very keen on in terms of their legacy models. And the all-wheel drive in this car is very good. In fact, the all-wheel drive in this car rivals the four-wheel drive in most SUVs. It is that good. And that is something that Subaru continue to have on their side. And it's something that they are, in the future, they're looking to have standard in all their cars. Remember, when these cars are being manufactured, they don't only think about where the car is going to be situated, but the all-wheel drive in this car is very useful in terms of driving in conditions which are slippery. You have a guarantee that your car has traction on all the four wheels. The car inside this car is a very nice place to be because it is comfortable. Let me just start from there, because when you're driving this car, you're probably looking to be driving it for good durations of time, and as such, you want to be comfortable. As I showed you earlier on, this seat has more than enough seat positions to make sure that the different size of people who sit in this car are comfortable regardless of the time they're driving this car. So it's a nice place to be, and it's a good drive. Let me talk about how well planted this car is. When you're driving this car, you can't help feel that it is well seated on the road. Not many cars are able to get that, but this is something that Subaru has been able to get correct in their cars. Because if you think about it, the fact that this car has a boxer engine, it allows Subaru to be able to mount the engine low down, almost close to the ground. That is compounded by the fact that the drivetrain of this car is all-wheel drive, all four wheels. So you have the distribution of weight to be very well. And the fact that you add a rear differential and the gearbox into the low, it helps into making this car have a very low center of gravity, which is good considering the fact that this car again has how much? 281 horsepower. Now, talking about the power of this car has features that make it easy for you to drive this car. If you think about it, 281 horsepower is a lot to have. So you do not have this power at your disposal every time you enter the car. So if I bring your attention down here, the gearbox has settings. It has a sport and a sport sharp. So on the sport sharp is where you have the 281 horsepower. If you think about it, 281 horsepower is a lot, and as such, Subaru have made it so easy that this is a setting that you can put only when you need it. And trust you me, you don't need to go there. This car is fast enough as it is. So this car is so fast that if you just press on the pedal, this is what happens. It pulls you and pulls and pull. Simply marvelous. Subaru know what they are doing with their boxer engines. And you know, the funny thing is, as much as you're going fast, the car is picking up speed so fast, you do not feel unsafe. You don't feel like you're not in control of the speed. And that's a very nice thing when it comes to speeding up. Subaru have been very careful and deliberate in that, because at the end of the day, the people you are targeting to buy this car need to have that at their disposal, need to have comfort at their disposal, luxury at their disposal. And when you get that right and you compound it with the fact that this is a very powerful car, this car puts itself in a category that most car manufacturers want to put themselves. If you consider it, this car easily rivals any medium-sized SUV. I'm talking about X-Trails, I'm talking about RAV4, I'm talking about Dualis, all those medium-sized SUV. I don't think there is any that can come close to the market segment that this Subaru has well placed itself into. So the fifth generation of the Subaru Legacy, the BR9 and the BM9, come with something called the EyeSight. And now this is quite good, especially considering this is a very powerful car. You want it to be safe. And as such, the EyeSight has many functionalities. 6 of them, in fact, Subaru state. The EyeSight functionality on the Subaru works so well that I am willing to put my life on the line. And I hope, will the car stop? Will the car stop? Oh my. That is wonderful. Okay, what is EyeSight? EyeSight came with the introduction of the 5th generation Subaru Legacy. And in a nutshell, it is a set of onboard computers and sensors which help this particular model to become as safe as possible. And this is necessary because, considering the amount of power this car has, it has to be safe as possible, because you don't want to go fast and then you're not sure that you're safe at those speed. And as such, some of the sensors that this car has is, and as the name denotes EyeSight, it has some 2 cameras. These 2 cameras, basically the eyes, into helping this car becoming a safer drive. Subaru state that the EyeSight is charged with 6 duties in terms of helping the drive of an individual in this car to be safer and more secure. The first upon which is pre-collision warning. If this car notices that it's going to be involved in a collision, either with an individual or with another car or an inanimate object, it's going to sound a warning for you. And if it notices that the driver is not aware to the warning, the brakes are going to be pressed by the car itself. The second one is adaptive cruise control. Basically, in normal cars, cruise control, basically you set the amount of speed that you want to maintain and the car will help you to maintain that. But on this particular model of the Subaru, it is adaptive, which means that it is able to be set to track the speed of the car in front of it. If the car is doing 80, the car will be able to do 80 up to a speed that you have set. The third function of the EyeSight in this car is pre-collision throttle management. Similarly, if the car notices that you are driving and you are going to be involved in a collision, it is going to reduce the amount of speed that the car is going with by reducing the press on the throttle. The fourth function is lane departure warning. And if you just come close here, you'll notice there's a button for that. And this other one is for the collision, as I was telling you. By pressing it, you put it on. And this one, by pressing it, you put it on. So for lane departure warning, if the car notices that you're leaving your lane, it is going to sound a warning via the EyeSight system. The fifth function is lane sway warning. Similarly as the lane departure warning, for example, if you're from a long drive and probably you are dozing off or feeling drowsy or sleepy, if probably you are on medication, this car is able to sound a warning if it notices that you're waving a lot on the road. So that's another function of the EyeSight. Finally, the final function of the EyeSight for this car is lead vehicle start alert. So for example, you're on traffic and you are driving and probably something caught your attention and you're not focusing and the car in front of you starts to drive, the EyeSight will again come in and it will chime an alert or a warning for you to notice that the car in front of you is moving. So Is this a functionality that we need in cars? Yes, because this day and age, people have become less and less alert as they are driving. So if you ask me, this is a 2 thumbs up for me for Subaru. This is something that will help this car get to the next category of clients that it wants to attract. And if you think about it, most German cars will employ such technologies to a certain extent. So Subaru have just jumped on into that bandwagon and they are driving off with it. This is something good for Subaru here. In conclusion, will Subaru be able to redefine the market and how it looks to the people in the auto world? It will be a challenge, but this is a good way to start it off. If you remember, Subaru is seen as the bad boy of the car industry, but they are doing well in terms of redefining that, and they are attracting a good clientele in terms of the people they want to buy this particular model. Some of the drawbacks that I can think about in terms of this car is the engine size combined with the turbo in this car make this car to be very fuel inefficient, but Subaru are on top of that and they have an eco drive on this model, and equally this car does not produce 281 horsepower every time you step on it. It has the EyeSight drive, which helps also to reduce the fuel consumption of the same. Prices for this particular model, remember this model runs from 2009 up to 2014. From the very earliest model of the 2009, in Kenya shillings, this one can do anything in the region of 900,000 for the earlier models. To the very latest models of 2014, we'll have to do something in the tune of around 2 million shillings. And all factors will be held constant, depending on the engine drivetrain and the other functionalities that it has on itself. Now, thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And from that now until the next time, it is peace.